to say good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Welcome. And as you all know, this morning I'm going to offer the empowerment of the Vajrapāṇi. Vajrapāṇi, and what to do empowerment, and it is always is part of the ceremony or the empowerment. Give introductions, and then do the empowerment. So the first I'm going to give brief introductions. Again, the Vajrapāṇi. Who is Vajrapāṇi? And what is where this teaching come from? And then what means empowerment? So those are the three subdivisions that I will go over these introductions. The first is this: who is Vajrapāṇi? Vajrapāṇi is, simply to tell, Vajrapāṇi is Buddha, totally enlightened beings. But Vajrapāṇi appeared in many different forms, because when you reach the Buddha or when you become the Buddha, what is the purpose of the becoming Buddha in Mahayana teaching? In Mahayana teachings, the principal purpose of to becoming Buddha is to benefit, to help, to support to all the living beings. So that is really fundamental goal of the becoming enlightenment. They will not become enlightenment one's own purpose, become enlightenment for the purpose of others. And for that reason, Vajrapāṇi is totally enlightened beings, but yet Vajrapāṇi appeared many different forms in order to benefit for all the beings. Vajrapāṇi appeared one of the also great bodhisattvas. Among 8 bodhisattvas, Vajrapāṇi is known as one of the great bodhisattva Vajrapāṇis. Then Vajrapāṇi is appeared also in the Buddha teaching outer tantra, known as Vajra or Dorje Nambranyoma. Very famous cleansing purification Buddha, known as Dorje Nambar Jomba. In Tibet, in Sanskrit, Vajra Chedaka. That is very famous, Dorje Nambar Jomba. Then Vajrapāṇi appeared in the form of, again, the principal deity of the inner tantras, known as the Vajrasattva's. So Vajrasattva, as Vajrapāṇi appeared in the form of the Vajrasattva. Again, Vajrasattva is known as the principal Buddha of all the Buddhas. Even in the teaching said, Vajrasattva is embodiment of all Buddhas, that which can encompass entire Buddhas, 100 Buddhas. For example, 100 Buddha, peaceful Radha Buddhas, can be summarized into 5 Dhyana Buddhas. That 5 Dhyana Buddha can be summarized in one Buddha, or come down to the one Buddha as Vajrasattva. So this Vajrasattva is Lord and the principal mandala of the entirely all the inner tantras. Then Vajrasattva appeared from the Radha deities, very Radha deities, known as then Vajrapāṇi, known as Vajrakalāyas, also Vajrapāṇis, very Radha. At that time, Vajrapāṇi or Vajrakumara or the Vajrakalāya represent the entire action of all the Buddhas, entire action of the Buddhas, activity of the Buddhas. So Vajrapāṇi is again the ultimate state of the wrathful. Wrathful is not just angry, common angry, by the power of compassion expressing to benefit to all the beings, or the power of compassion appeared from a form of wrath to remove and to cleansing and purifying and destroying the very difficult to subdue, such as ego cleansing. And that is Vajrapāṇi. So therefore, many effort. And then Vajrapāṇi is the very highest, or very almost said, Vajrapāṇi is no other than the Buddha Samana Buddhas. So therefore, Vajrapāṇi is very, very special Buddhas. Also Vajrapāṇi is known as among the 3 Buddhas, known as such as Manjushri, Cheresa or the Avalokiteshvara, and Vajrapāṇi. Those are the 3 principal bodhisattvas, or even many times named 3 Buddhas. At that time, for example, Manjushri representing all embodiment of all the enlightenment Buddhas, or the body of the all the enlightenment Buddhas, and Avalokiteshvara representing, or Cheresa representing all the speech of the Buddhas, and Vajrapāṇi representing all the wisdom mind or the power of all the Buddhas. And therefore again known as the Buddha of three families: body, speech, and mind. Body Buddha, Manjushri; speech Buddha, Avalokiteshvara; and the wisdom mind Buddha, Vajrapāṇi. So Vajrapāṇi is very pervasive and very essential Buddha of the generally Mahayana teachings, and particularly in the outer tantra, inner tantras. And then Vajrapāṇi also appeared form of a disciple of Buddha Shakyamunis. Many times, even in the Mahayana teaching, Sutra Mahayana teaching mentioned Vajrapāṇi always appeared as disciple and bodyguard of the Buddha Shakyamunis. There is also a story. Once upon a time, when Buddha was residing in the Vajrapāṇi mountains, and the king of that country, Vajrapāṇi mountain country, known as Ajat-Shatras, or in Tibet called known as Machida. Machida was influenced by the Devadatta. Devadatta is always very challenging to the Buddha, or contentious to the Buddha, even he was young, or even they are young. Buddha, Devadatta was also born as the same client in the family. He was always wanting to be like challenged with Buddha, but however, Buddha became the spirit among even the youthful state before he became the Buddha. So he couldn't really challenge, but ever since he did not give up his contentious that mental attitude, never. So when Buddha became as a great teacher, as enlightened beings, teacher of so many beings, but also he liked to challenge. He became as like practitioners, but not following the Buddhas. Always contest. Since he is already the royally connected or royally kind of born, Devadatta was born, so he became very friend of the King Ajat-Shatras. And he influenced him. And Ajat-Shatara and Devadatta both decided they're going to kill the Buddha. If they kill the Buddha, then he will become the Devadatta will become the superior teacher, and Ajat-Shatara will be supported and guided by the Devadatta. They become the really very good friend. So they try to kill the Buddha. And when the teaching said that one time they throw the big boulder as a canopy thrown to the top of the Buddha, where Buddha is residing in the Vajrapāṇi mountains. So he used the ancient technique as like a big boulder, as like bomb, like shooting through that bed. But when that big boulders, when he throw the top of the Buddha to kill the Buddha, then instantly in the teaching said Vajrapāṇi throw his vajra. Vajra, the boulder become smashed in the air, as like what they call here in modern time, like tomahawk missile. When something shooting, they throw something and kill. So the Vajrapāṇi, the hand object, the vajra, played as a tomahawk missiles, and it destroyed in the air. That's the really teaching said. And the teaching said that always Vajrapāṇi is behind the Buddha many times as a body protector. Many of those arhatas and the disciples sees, one is very kind of fiercely, strong, dark man standing like macho, looking behind always the Buddha. And many disciples ask who is this? And they said, this is the most powerful Buddha. That even Buddha himself, he said, I cannot challenge this Buddha. To glorify the power and the dignity and the achievement of the Vajrapāṇi. That's what Buddha. So this is the Vajrapāṇis. And this is the what really Vajrapāṇi. Since the Vajrapāṇi is so special Buddhas, the gracious kindness, compassion, the teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni gave variety teachings of the Vajrapāṇis in the outer tantra, in inner tantras. He gives so teachings, outer, inner tantras, teachings. And then so all this teaching, every teaching, as you all know, came to Tibet. Tibet in the 8th century, in the time of Guhyapati Sambhava, great Master Shantarakita, and great Khenpo deities. His courage and commitment, he organized and arranged to bring the entire Buddha teachings. Buddha teachings, not just a teaching alone, the scripture, only the kind of academic, but the realization that really he established it. Therefore, in the Tibet, called Longa Tempa, Topa Tempa. Longa Tempa means the teaching of the scripture that completely established in the Tibet that time. From the basic Buddhist school teachings, or the first Buddha teachings, all the way to the Ati Yoga teaching, the academic, scripture, Vinaya, Sutra, Abhidharma, Tantra, that reading language, everything translated. And it's so precise and so perfect and so beautiful that nothing can be changed afterward. Nobody can need to correct. There's nothing more better to translate it than that. That's not how they translated it. Beautiful. Like genius, the skilled persons, the emanated skilled beings appeared. Time of the as translator and great masters of the India and other countries, cooperation through the cooperation, translated everything. But not just only that, then called Topa Tempa. The realization, the meaning of that not just left the academic level on the brain, kind of hovering in the brain. They observed that teaching, the meaning into the heart, and boosted their realization exactly as great teacher Buddha explained. What he explained, every living being inherited the Buddha nature. There is just the only question whether you work for that or not. So these individuals are working for that. As they receive the teaching and guided by those great masters, authentic qualified masters, practice the joyful effort, courage and commitment with the devotion, they truly actualize what the teaching said and boomed up their inner qualities. And now then, what are those knowledge? 25 disciples, everyone, and 35 great Mapas, and 27 or 25 great female dakinis, or female disciples. So many people, really, men and women, get highest realization of the human consciousness can achieve. They achieved all that because many of them received as a transcendental Vajra body. That is known as Topa Tempa. Not just only the scriptural, academic and saying systems existing, but that the meaning that sizzle in the heart and they really get enlightenment. So therefore, that time, at the 8th century, entirely Buddha's teachings of the Longa Tempa and the Topa Tempa, or the doctrine of the scriptural and the doctrines of the realization, that all boosted up there. And that time, then this teaching came. The Vajrapāṇi teaching came to Tibet. And Guhyapati Sambhava and the great master Shantarakita gave teaching so many, and as well as Mamala Mantras. Actually, Shantarakita is known as also emanation of the Vajrapāṇis. And in the teaching always at that time, the king Guhyapati Sambhava, King Tsewang deities, Shantarakita, 3 Buddha come together one time and one spontaneously at the same time in order to establish an authentic teaching of the Buddha Shakyamuni based upon the non-violence, peace, harmony, respect, appreciation to every living beings. That was the establishment. Who are those 3 Buddhas? Always said that Guhyapati Sambhava is the emanation of the Chinese Avalokiteshvara or the Amitabha, and Shantarakita is the emanation of the Vajrapāṇi, and King Tsewang is the emanation of the Manjushri. So there is 3 bodhisattvas came. The bodhisattva or the mahasattvas. Bodhisattva also has 2 kinds of bodhisattvas. And then I will show it to you. You saw those in we joined heart sutras. For example, when we refer to our Avalokiteshvara in the teaching, always said bodhisattva, mahasattvas. It's not just a bodhisattva, mahasattvas. That means one who is close to enlightenment, close to the Buddha. For example, 10 Bhumi Buddhas, 10 Bhumi Bodhisattvas, first Bhumi, second Bhumi, third Bhumi. Those all known as Bodhisattvas. Even when you develop the bodhicitta truly in your heart and mind, when you take the vows, they are called as Bodhisattvas. But they are not Mahasattvas. Their achievement is not Mahasattvas. And who achieve the Mahasattva, they are the like 8th Bhumi, 9th Bhumi, 10th Bhumi Bodhisattva named as Mahasattvas. Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas. So these 3 Bodhisattvas, Manjushri and Avalokiteshvara and Vajrapāṇi are the Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas. So these 3 Bodhisattvas, great Bodhisattvas, came to Tibet in order to establish the peaceful teaching, peaceful messages in that countries. And that for that reason, and the emanation is Ngurup Emasam. Emanation of the Vajrapāṇi is Chandarachana. Emanation of the Manjushri is Khenpo depicted. Those are known as the 3 groups. So that established it. And particularly, Ngurup Emasambhava, Chandarachana gave a lot of teachings on the Vajrapāṇis. Outer Tantra and Inner Tantra. Inner Tantra, this Vajrapāṇi is connected with the 8 Hiruka teachings. And that was Ngurup Emasambhava give widely that teachings. So from ever since, this teaching of the practice of the Vajrapāṇi is very popular practices in Tibet. All schools of Tibet Buddhism, ever since. And so that is briefly who is Vajrapāṇi. How this teaching came from him. So this is emphatic teaching of the Buddha Shakyamuni, and that continued carried to Tibet until now. And then particularly this teaching, what we call in Vajrapāṇi teaching, the empowerment you're going to receive, is of course belongs with the Nyingma schools of Tibet Buddhism. Nyingma, you all know, again, but we always talk this part of the lineage. Lineage, part of the gratitude, member of the kindness of all those great practitioners, masters who transmitted this teaching ongoing. So we talk as gratitude, we talk. So this belongs to the Nyingma teachings. Nyingma teaching is started, as I said, at century until now. This teaching is transmitted through 2 systems known as Karma and Dharmas. Karma is the original lineage, time of Ngurup Emasambhava. Dharma is later lineages. Both the lineages, these teachings are based upon Buddha teaching or the Karma teachings. Karma is based on the Buddha teaching, Dharma is based on the Karma Buddha teaching, but Dharma is based on the Karma teaching, which is Buddha teaching, Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching. And that continues. So through the 2 lineages are maintained, kept this lineage teaching exactly as it transmitted by the Buddha Shakyamuni, Ngurup Emasambhava, Great Master Chandarachana. They really exactly kept by their devotion, by their courage and commitment. Nobody played any kind of intellectual games in the lineage systems. Kept exactly as it is. As it started clay, as it distilled water, it is still clay and distilled and powerful as water, the clean water. Continue that. That will remove thirsty and difficulties everyone and give nourishment and give the lives. That is how this lineage. And particularly this lineage is then taught by great master known as Rinpoche. Rinpoche was one of the great masters in the history of the Tibetan Buddhism or in the general Buddhism. He is one of the very great masters, truly masters. And he was scholars, hermitage, monk, and low-key, as simple hermitage. Even though he became one of the great masters during that time, but he just stayed so humble, so simple, down to the earth. He stayed on the caves, mountains, and hermitages. Really, That's what the great Master Vajrapāṇi was, and radiating his power of love and compassion, wisdom, every direction, and saturated by that with so many disciples, and reached so many beings enlightened, both intellectual level and realization levels. So this teaching is the teaching by the Maharajas. It's a combination of the essence or combination of the essence of the Kama and the Dharma teachings. In the Maharaj himself, I condensed both Kama and the Dharma teaching as a single, short, simple practice of the Vajrapāṇis. So that is the one. And so this teaching then is become very popular practices of the young ones, and as well as the Kagyu schools of Tibetan Buddhism too, and Vajrapāṇi practices. And I received this teaching from Great Master, my beloved brother and led teacher or led Khenpo Parishar. I received these teachings. As I received, I'm offering you this empowerment. So that's how the lineage of these teachings. Now I talk briefly about the empowerment. Briefly. Again, you all know you receive empowerment. Many of you know the meaning of the empowerment. So it's not, but again, I told it's a part of the lineage. And my first now, what means empowerment? Empowerment has two things: cause and conditions. The cause and condition. And when the cause and the condition combined, then you receive the empowerment. You receive the empowerment. And when the cause and the condition perfectly catch together as harmonized, then what it does? It makes change. It blooms flower or result, whatever that is. So now, what is the cause of empowerment? Cause of empowerment is each of our own potential, our own original nature of the mind, potential. This is what Buddha Shakyamuni named, our greatest teacher Buddha Shakyamuni named, Buddha nature. We all have the Buddha nature. And no one is absence of the Buddha nature. Everyone has Buddha nature. You have Buddha nature, I have Buddha nature, everyone has Buddha nature. And this Buddha nature is the cause of the enlightenment, or cause of enlightenment, also cause of the empowerment. Because of that, you receive the empowerment. And how this Buddha nature is, again, that was the gracious teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni explained many teachings in Mahayana. Particularly this teaching which is explained very detailed about this Buddha nature is known as third turning the wheel of Dharma. Buddha did not give teaching about this on the first is turning wheel of Dharma, and nor in the second turning wheel of Dharma. But he gave this teaching so detailed, precisely in the third turning wheel of Dharma, and as well as then in the Vajrayana teachings. And how this Buddha nature is. That is a great master or great teacher. Buddha Shakyamuni said it is Samaja Raj Sutras, known as Samaja Raj Sutra. In Tibet is known as Tingin Zi Jarping Do. In that teaching said, clear, pure, undisturbable, uncompounded, and cannot be disturbed. That is Buddha nature. Tapa, Ama, Yuma say, or luminosity, clear light. Clear light, luminosity, undisturbable, unshakable, pure, and clean. That is the Buddha nature. Is uncompounded. That is our Buddha nature. That is residing right now with us, ourselves. This is also known as, it's not just a newly arrived. It is a continuation from the beginner's times until now. That is what it is. For present time, our Buddha nature is covered by very many diluted conceptions, or diluted too. Diluted and diluted conceptions. Those are known as obscurations. Obscurations have blocked that. Who did that obscurations? Who diluted? Who diluted? Nobody else by one's own self. One's own self did. So these obscurations are creation of our own, our self. And so, therefore, the empowerment, when you receive, it will begin to cleansing, purify that delusions. Empowerment is like conditions. When cause is there, if you have the perfect conditions, then it begins to change. I mean, that's the common knowledge that everybody knows. If you have the perfect seed, clean, unaffected seed, what we need now? If we like to grow something, we have to have the beautiful conditions. Perfect soil, perfect temperature, perfect taking care, perfect warmness, and then what it comes? The result, the fruit, it will bloom. There's no need to be doubt. No need to be kind of thinking it's going to happen or not happen. It's going to happen. Because cause is perfect and conditions are perfect, perfectly applying, and that will bring the result. This is not just a miracle or something kind of strange things that happen. It's truly the law of the systems. Law and rule of the interdependent coordinations. That will boom us. So this empowerment is like conditions. It's condition when they apply to this, then we will begin to bring the result. So that's how really empowerment. And therefore, empowerment in Sanskrit is known as abhisheka. Abhisheka is translated in Tibet as pouring and dispelling. Pouring and dispelling. Pouring and dispelling. Pour as P-U-R-I, I think, R-I-N-G, pouring, I believe. Pouring and dispelling. What means pouring? The lineage, authentic lineage techniques are pouring in our mind streams of the Buddha nature. And what is dispelling? Dispelling, that's moment, all the conceptions, diluted, obscuration, dispelling them. So then what will happen? Happening, the window of light of the original Buddha nature, our original Buddha, window of the light comes. For example, midst of the dark, heavy cloud sky, if there is something going to happen, then we can bring for a short time, or the window of the blue sky that appeared. That happens. Then what we have to do? Once we open that, we have to keep continuing. Keep that maintained. That is known as practicing. Keep continuing that. Then that is getting the window of our enlightenment or the Buddha nature is become wider, stronger, calmer, and the mist of clouds are getting way. And then means the completely revealed of the origin and nature exile as it is, that is known as enlightenment. When the process of that cleansing, purification, what is known as following the path. You're going through the path and you're going through the bhumis, one after another. So that is what is meaning of this empowerment, really about that. And then now, empowerment, what is that? This empowerment you're receiving through the meditation, through the lineage blessings, through the mantra, and through the ritual objects. These four combinations, you're receiving the empowerment. That is like conditions, receiving them. So that is my brief introductions of the empowerment. And now,